Perfect. Thank you very much, Steve, for the introduction. As you said, I'm from Germany. I moved to New Zealand 6 years ago with my family, all the belongings in one container. It was certainly a very exciting phase for us. And the reason was because I wanted to be part of the All-Thread success story. I saw already the potential 6 years ago, and I'm still with All-Thread, so I really enjoy it. I'm really excited to be here today. The venue, I really enjoy it. And I'm very pleased to tell you a little bit about the client success team. A lot of changes are currently going on in our services team, and I'm more than pleased to share a little bit with you about this. A couple of things are already completed, a couple of things are still going on, that's not yet completed. I hope you don't mind. Probably my accent is a little bit like an interesting mixture between American, Kiwi, and then a little bit of influence of German accent. So I hope you don't mind. So I thought myself, okay, why this presentation? And there's a promise, obviously. Steve made a promise. It's faster and easier to set you up, to get you up and running. So I don't want to get into troubles with Steve now, but I want to challenge this. I'm not sure if that is correct like this, because I have identified for our services team something what we have to do to make this promise that really happen as well. And then you see a few other things, like my early days. So I want to guide you a little bit through some thoughts we have. And in the second half of this presentation, I'm going to show you two little, like tiny little tools or projects what we have done with regards to best practices. So Steve said, okay, it's faster and easier. And I thought, At the very early days of All-Thread Cloud, I had one client. He subscribed to the cloud, wanted to create his training materials. Was really happy in the first day, second day, maybe as well. Third day, he wasn't really happy. He called us. And we didn't really understood at those days what was going on. So we called him, then so we called back. And what it turned out was he was trying to access from the cloud his C drive. So he was complaining, he said, oh, it's not working. So what we have found out, obviously, that, yeah, the system was up and running, but he was not really in the position already to use the software in a way that it meets his requirements, for instance. So something was missing in between. And that's something what we have addressed with certain activities or programs we have established. And for me, was it then as well to ask ourselves, okay, what is now the most important thing with this, let's say, user? What is the most important thing we can help this user? Is it a good software? Is it a good, let's say, a cool video on the Learning Center? Is it good software? Is it a good knowledge center with good articles? And what I learned with my last company, that was an enterprise company focusing on business analysts of processes, the most important thing I personally think is to create value. And what I'm currently kind of training my team is always focus on value. You know, why do I think it's so important? Is because this ultimately will really lead into the success, that you are successful as well. And I asked myself then as well, okay, I pretty much remember like my first hour with Paul Trotter. I was in his office. He was demonstrating All-Thread to me. And I thought, wow, I mean, I knew before already the product, but I felt like this is a very powerful software. I can do a lot of things with it. But I felt a little bit like overwhelmed as well. And I had yesterday a conversation with some of you who said the same to me. They're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like, where should I start with an implementation? And to be honest, I was watching this little animation for about 10 minutes, and there are quite a few interesting things, and when you understand the concept, that after a while you get it, but I would, let's say for All-Thread, I would appreciate that there is somebody who helps me. And there are still some things which are weird because, for instance, here, that guy gets ahead and then suddenly he's beheaded and the head goes around. So you don't understand. There are still questions, you know, and I would love then, when I put myself into the shoes of the new user, I would love to have somebody who, hey, take your hand and I will guide you. And I think this is important, what we have to do from our services team. So, the question for me was really, okay, let's try to put ourselves into the shoes of the new user. Because I think that will help us to understand what do we need to do that with the promise Eve has made, faster, easier, I help with the services to make this promise really happen. And there are now lots of components who really contribute to this. I've only picked 4 today. I could probably talk for another 1 or 2 hours for even more. So I picked 4: share knowledge, increase usage, monitor usage, and optimize the activities. And we'll go a little bit into the details of these 4 areas or domains. So for the share knowledge, what we are currently doing, and some of you know who are already using Authored, they probably know this. So far we had 2 teams. One was the global services team. They do the implementation, working on projects. Now we've got the support team. They're working on support tickets. There was like an invisible wall between these 2 teams. Now I've said, look, I want to bring these teams together. It's actually now 1 team. And the interesting thing for me was one of our consultants, she is a consultant, never worked on tickets. Now suddenly she is working on tickets, and she's realizing, oh, now I see where maybe some of our clients are a little bit struggling with something, where maybe something was not clear. And now what she's doing is, oh, okay, probably I have to change a little bit the training materials, or I have to change something in my implementation plan, because I know that maybe later these problems or questions are coming up. And that is then something where I think, oh wow, that will even now help the new user when they start to implement Authored. The other thing what we're doing is we hire people who are familiar with a certain industry, so familiar with certain practices. So just a few months ago we have hired a very senior person who's very familiar with localization. Everything about localizing content. She knows the tools which are used in the industry. And that helps us in the team to spread the knowledge, but it helps you as well when, let's say, we are in the project. I've got no one person who knows all these tools, not only Authored, but other tools as well, and can really discuss with you, for instance, to optimize processes. Let me go to the second one. Sorry. The increased usage. I'm actually dreaming for a very long time already to have a library which is like what I call pre-configured. And this is what my last company, what they have done. They have developed this wallet product, and then they have pre-configured their library or database in this case for manufacturing, for automotive, and for other like verticals. Because what it means is that when you start, if you intend, for instance, to use Authored to create training content, you have your pre-configured library, methodology is already in it, the terminology is already in it. You can publish student guides, you can publish instructor guide, you can publish your PowerPoint, the presentation, and you can maybe publish to score that you can include, import this later into an LMS. So that's something what we have already done. So here I'm actually quite happy. But there are certainly other areas where I know, okay, we haven't completed yet our job, because it means in an implementation, oh, here I've got already something. I can almost use that. You just apply a little bit those changes that it meets your business requirements, and then you've done. And that's something where I think we can again contribute to this faster and easier, because then you don't need to set it up from the very beginning. No, you only need to do that little delta. So this is something where, yeah, Paul and I, together now with Andrew, are in discussions and trying to expand this further, because it helps us and you then in the end to be faster through your implementation. The other thing is monitor usage, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to add this to this presentation because I know we have all this discussion now going on here in America, but as well in Europe, in Germany as well, in New Zealand as well, and everybody's talking about, what's right and what's wrong. But for us, I think there's one difference, and the difference is that we want to collect data, but we want to share it with you then as well. So that's maybe the difference. We tell you what we are collecting, and an example could be that we, in particular on the cloud, that's possible. I can see, okay, who has logged in, how often did somebody log in, how many topics did you create, or objects did you create this month, how many objects did your team create, what is the reuse? I mean, Darcy had her example about the reuse, but that's something she had to figure out on her own in a certain way. But since we have the cloud solution, we have actually access to that information. So why shouldn't we collect the information and share it with you? That you then know, okay, my reuse, whatever this month, is 20%. And let's say in a year's time, it's up to 50, 60%. And the following year, it's 80%. So I think having such a dashboard is really something I'm dreaming of to get something like this. And we have started already with AIT with tiny little dashboards. So I can, for instance, already see how often did somebody log in the last 15 days. It's like a little nice graph, which means, sorry Ben, if a graph is like this, then I know, okay, mine's really using it. If it's like this, goes down. So over here, then I know, something is wrong. I need to do something. So my team then can be proactive and can say, okay, hold on, I see there is no longer activity on your account. What's going on? Can we help? Before, we actually never knew about this. That means we can help you again, and I can create value for you then again. Other things, what I thought was about if there is maybe a change of the admin account, suddenly we have a new admin. Is this admin really trained on everything? Or we have new users. That happens currently quite often. That suddenly we have new users, the person has left the company, and before I didn't even know about this. And I would like actually to know if there is a new user, because that means for me, hey, have you an internal training to bring this person up to speed? Or would this person like to join maybe a web session or we conduct maybe differences or whatever is required? So I can do something. And therefore I think this monitoring will help me and my team to make better decisions and take some action, but it helps you as well to make better decisions at your end. When you commit to your manager, okay, I want to increase the reuse by X% because we can save money at the localization end, and that's certainly something what we want to measure. And then you go back to your manager and say, hey, we're successful, look, this is what we have achieved. And I haven't faked it or whatever, no, it's data from all. And something like this is just a mock-up. It doesn't exist yet, it's not even discussed in that way. But I think something like this, I'm dreaming of getting something like this in the end.
In fact, that's actually the session that I'm going to be leading a discussion about in a little bit.
It just tells me as well, it's important for me, not only for the end user, it's important as well for my team to deliver excellent services, again, to our clients. So it's actually multi-user. Yeah, and optimize activities, that is something I think which is very important as well, and we had lots of discussions about this. And to give you an example of what I mean with this is it certainly goes into the direction of best practices. But what we had, or what I started to change in the team was about, okay, how are we going to, in which way are we going to deliver our services? And this is a kind of structure. Okay, talk first about the concept, then about the instructions, and then give me further details. Sometimes in the past, I got like, I have just one question, just tell me the 3 steps I have to perform that I achieve this or that. And then I've got an explanation like this, that I understood actually everything what's going on under the hood, but actually I had no time for that. And a good example of comparison, I reckon, is this trapeze. I did something like this a few weeks ago. And I was this guy in the middle, and I had my catcher on the right side. And certainly, you would prefer when you're standing on the left, which is about 25 feet high, pretty high when you look down. Give me a quick overview of the concept. How does that work? Okay, I'm standing here, take the bar, swing over here, and the catcher is swinging as well. I swing back like this. We swing to the middle back, grabs my hand. I need to release the bar, so the bar was on the back side of my knees. And then I swing with the catcher. And then the other swing was going like this. Now I'm going to the middle back. And then he released my arm, so I had to turn around, grab the other bar, and then I was swinging to the left. That was kind of the concept. So you need a very good overview at the very beginning. I don't need to understand all these details of gravity and I don't know what. Just tell me at first what's going on in general. The second one is then the clear instructions. Okay, now you tell me exactly what I have to do. There's a clear command when I'm standing on the left, when I have to, like to jump. There are other, like commands you learn, kick, pull, to keep the momentum when you swing. This is what I think makes then sense. Explaining the concept, go into the instruction later. Then, okay, let's talk about gravity and all these things, and then I can design new exercises, and let's do this, or let's try that. And this is what we traditionally know from as best practices. But I think the services we offer to you as our clients need to follow that concept as well. I will show you in a few minutes an example where we followed that. So we were coming from, okay, easy, fast, with promise, want to create value, pick 4 examples, and there's one aspect missing. One aspect is missing. I want to create value, but the critical point is create the highest value in the shortest time frame. I think that is very, very important. And only this makes me successful. Only this makes you successful. We can have a great implementation, goes on for 4 years. The value is almost 0. We need to be fast. And that's something what we need to keep in mind as well when it comes to services, when it comes to a project. I don't want to have a project which goes on for, let's say, 2 years. We need to slice it into smaller pieces that are faster and that we can achieve success much faster as well. So I hope that makes sense so far. And I would like to jump a little bit into 2 short demonstrations. So yeah, I want to be on top of that hill, mountain. I want to be there, and there are certainly different ways to be there. So one, what I would like to show you is what we call the Quick Start package for the new user. So the scenario here is you have subscribed to the cloud. You don't want our team to do all the work, keen on to do the work, but you need some guidance. So that means, and therefore we've got this program. It's a quick start with the goal to get you up and running within a certain time frame, which means after this time frame, the expectation is that you have set up your authored environment, but what you have to let's say, configure in order to meet again your business requirements. Now the idea is here, as I've mentioned, you do the work, but we guide you. We tell you what to do. We tell you with which steps should you start. Think about this picture we had before with this animation. Okay, you start here, and then step by step, we will grow our knowledge about the implementation. So we guide you. It's a program we will see where we have then lots of links to the KC Learning Center Dev Hub, because that could be overwhelming, in particular at the very beginning as well. There are different sources of information. And everything is based on best practice, so that means in this context, the experience of all the projects we have done before. And yes, we have made mistakes, so we have corrected them. But that is now information or knowledge we share with you again, that you don't make the same mistakes as we have done before. Yeah, I think that's where I can jump. So it looks like this. That's just a screenshot. That screenshot is a little bit boring, so we'll just jump briefly to that little project. There we go. So, presentation. Better. So when you have subscribed to the cloud, what we say is then you always are then as well registered on this quick start program, what we call for new clients. Always. In order to avoid that situation I mentioned before, where there's one person trying to access from the cloud his C drive. So with this, we're trying to avoid this. Now what you see is on the right hand side, I will explain this quickly to you. On the right hand side you have the first, no, that's still not my, sorry. Troy, I reckon I need you. Okay, this trick works. I don't know why. Oh, that's wrong. Okay, now I don't see that on this screen, but I see it over here. Okay, so what we have over here, these are all what we call the task list, are the task lists in an implementation. This is the full set. At the beginning of a project, we decide as well, together with you, okay, for instance, you see a bunch of importing Word documents, HTML files, XML, FrameMaker, or whatever. You decide at the very beginning, good, I don't need whatever. I'm not importing FrameMaker, I'm not importing Ralf, I'm not importing Help, I'm not importing HTML. We simply just delete those tasks. The list becomes already shorter. Then this list will tell you, okay, this is how you should go through your implementation. That's a recommended sequence. But you're not forced to it. You can certainly jump around a little bit. That's okay, and we see that clients are doing this. They skip a few things at the very beginning because they need to focus at first on, let's say, publishing to HTML. What we have introduced as well, there are some steps. Review your project, and that's repeated as well because I want to see progress in the project. So together with you, we review the progress. We want to check together with you, did we achieve what we wanted to achieve in, let's say, the first 2 weeks or the first 3 weeks? And if not, okay, then we need to talk about it, and then we need to see how we can help you. Okay. Now on the left-hand side, we have then when you pick one, quick start, then you've got the list of the required tasks. Here are the steps you have to please perform. And it doesn't tell you what to do exactly, but it tells you, okay, whatever, set up your project. That's actually not correct. Troy, how can I get this window on my screen? Our expectation is, and as Steve has pointed out a little bit, at least I wish, let's put it like this, I wish that you tick off the boxes. Because then I see how you progress in the project. And if I see that you're not ticking off the boxes, then I know, oh, okay, maybe you're struggling with this. So I can be, again, proactive and can give you a call. That's what the team is doing. The other thing is, that's something we saw at the very beginning. Sorry, Troy, it's not duplicating. The screen is different. Let's try this. Here we go. It's different. I've ticked off the boxes. Now the other thing is as well, there is a little black bubble. That means somebody has submitted a question. Maybe I'm not clear on something. I just need to see where my mouse goes. There we go. So let's click on this one. So I can see now the comment. I said, okay, link doesn't work. And what we're seeing with our clients, there's really a communication within the entire team. Yeah. So you can ask the question, our consultant responds, and this helps as well with the collaboration. Sometimes we have time zone differences, you know. This helps you then as well to submit your question and we can answer to it. And on top of this program, what we do is we give you access to this online program. We have then for 8 weeks consultant who is working together with you. You're meeting at least once per week, this consultant, so on a go-to-meeting, to clarify any questions you have. And it's really an ad hoc, complete. The question can really go from configuring a word template to something completely different. So let me go back to the presentation. So I was then certainly curious now to see, okay, how are we doing? What are the results? Fingers crossed. Okay, if that works. Here as well. Perfect. So I was wondering, okay, what was the focus of our clients in that Quick Start program? And yeah, reuse management, more half of those projects, reuse management was a very important component. Then print and HTML was kind of 50-50. So print was as important as publishing to online. And amazingly, it was a surprise to me, importing Word. In every project we had to import Word. Maybe that's just a coincidence. It certainly tells me as well that, okay, maybe we need to, for this program, we need maybe to set a certain focus on reuse management or a certain focus on importing Word. Obviously that is more important than importing Robot or something like this. Now the other part, what I was interested in, okay, what is the value? What are my clients telling me about this program? Has it great value? And this is the result. So I'm looking at strongly agree and agree. The Quick Start helped me to understand required tasks for implementing authoring. I mean, that, at least for me, that was perfect. And for the team, 100% match. 100% means everybody has agreed to that. That has a really high value, created a lot of value for me. Configure and use authored. I can now configure and use authored confidently. Oh, okay, 85%. So that means, for me, okay, we obviously can improve. I want to have 100 here as well. The interesting thing here as well, Quick Start gave me further ideas on how to use authored in our organization. Again, somewhat like 85%, something like this. So we were even able, while we're going through this implementation project, we were able to discuss new ideas. And then you could then discuss internally. And the last one is, okay, how good are our consultants? What, this is more the human part of it. Provided good guidance in the Q&A sessions. I was really glad about this, 100%. So obviously, based on this, our clients are taking a lot of value out of these meetings, although they are actually ad hoc. But you can ask whatever you want to ask. Doesn't matter. We have always very experienced consultants in that session. Showed a strong solution attitude, again somewhat like 85-ish, something like this percent. Where I think that's important as well, because yes, sometimes something is not 100% clear, sometimes okay, you can't do it ad hoc or as an out-of-box function with Authored, but let me try to find another solution. I will talk to others, and then I come back maybe with a suggestion. This is what I mean, or what we mean with a solution-oriented attitude. So that was the first example, what I wanted to share with you. So when you subscribe to the Authored Cloud, you get that Quick Start program for new users. And that means for me I can now keep the promise Steve has stated before. Easy and fast. So I'm adding something on top of this from our services team, and the results we're achieving so far are really encouraging. And that tells me a lot in the really doing great. Another example I would like to share briefly with you, that is something, I have an on-premise installation and I want to move to the cloud. What do I need to do? And we certainly would like to make that journey as easy as possible, as efficient and effective as possible as well. And now comes the point, what we said before, you need to understand at first the concept, what is on a high level, how does it work? And we go into the details. However, there are some prerequisites we need to meet at first for the cloud. And then there are some step-by-step instructions. So think about the trapeze again. Give me at first kind of the bigger picture, then tell me what I have to do, and then later, okay, be successful and enjoy the cloud. So how does that look like? That is a very simple actually diagram, but it tells you the following. You're on premises, you have version 5.5 or higher. There are two toolkits which help you to go to the cloud. So the first toolkit is what we call the CMT, the other one is the LMT. The CMT is the Cloud Migration Toolkit. It grabs all your data, packs this into a zip file, and then you upload this to the cloud. And then we have to do a little bit, and then it's live. And the LMT, the Localized Migration Toolkit, will take care of all translated or localized content. So we've separated this. And this is it. It's really as simple like this. And we have done so far, I would say, roughly 35 to 40 migrations from on-premises to cloud. Sometimes with a few surprises, but has always worked. And yeah, there is what we have created some, this is called migration to the cloud. There are some prerequisites. Now you see again, that's again kind of the same, like the project or tool what we're using here. Same way, here are the tasks you have please to do, and then you tick off the boxes. And yeah, this is, I must admit, that tool looks not really flashy or, I don't know, sexy, flashy, whatever you want to call it. But it does a job, and this is the most important thing. And I will just share or show you the first like 1 or 2 steps, how this looks like, because it just should give you the feeling as well that moving from on-premises to cloud is possible with these 2 toolkits we have developed. So I hope that I'm not running into these no, that's the trick. There we go. So what you do, sorry, what you do is at the very beginning, in this case, it's either a JET library or a SQL database, doesn't matter, either of both. You select that, as you see, it's quite simple, and then you say open database. Where is it? There we go. And what it does, it now goes through your library and grabs, not yet grab, but identifies all the external files you have referenced from your templates or from your topic when it's a limp graphic, stuff like this. And it lists them in a big long list. And this is what we see here. It advises you as well, okay, there was one item which could not be found, and now you can decide, okay, either, okay, I will fix that, or you say, okay, I just don't care. It's up to you. It's certainly important that the person who is running this toolkit has access to all the folders. So that must be, that's something you have to make sure before you run this tool. And the next step is then, it's checking the word markers. Okay, that's one step in between. And then the next step is, you have your structure, where you have your folder structure, where you have your graphics and the templates, and maybe a little bit is over here, a little bit is over there, and then on another server you've got some stuff, and then on your local machine probably, it can all happen. But on a cloud we can't deal with, let's say, your C drive, that's not possible. So therefore what we need to do is, there are 2 important folders, sorry. One is called the templates folder, and the other one is the resources folder. And now you need to decide, okay, which of these files, so if I would put this over here, then you see the files as well. Which of these files do I want to move into a templates folder, and which of these ones would I like to move into a resources folder? And you only need to select the path, and then you can copy it into this window, and that's it. And it checks this again. If something is left, and if nothing else is left, then it creates a zip file for the resources and a zip file for the templates. And then you go into the cloud account, upload this, including the library, and that's it. And we see this then, and then from our end we will set up what the account is already set up, but we will get then the data into your, let's say, cloud account. This is what we can do. So there's nothing for you to do. And this is all. And usually we can run through a migration project if it's a standard and then no surprises are coming up, then we can certainly accomplish this in 2 to 3 days. Just sometimes it depends on the database size, because that is kind of the constraint we have. But the actual work behind that is very minimal. So, just need to find my mouse again. So yeah, so that was kind of a little bit inside what I wanted to give you and tell you what we're doing. I expect that you will see over the next 3-4 months, a lot of more changes from our team, working together with other teams. And at the bottom I've got just some of our folks. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have questions, then